Hi, my name's Nathan.
I'm Chris.
And we're Supercomicbros OKC. Join us on our journey to open our first comic store. Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
Woo! So we're gonna do something a little different this time. This time we're gonna go over some of our favorite horror movies. We're not taking into account Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th or Halloween. Those are all great. So yeah, we were just trying to think of like movies outside of those franchises that kind of paved the way for, other people to make horror movies and other ideas and stuff. We haven't shared them with each other, so we'll go ahead and start. My number 5 movie. We're gonna do top 5.
Number 5 alive. Let's go.
A lot of people's one of a lot of people's favorite horror movies. It is 13 Ghosts. You remember that one?
Ghosts. Yeah, I remember Matthew Lillard. And
yeah.
All the crazy ghosts they captured in like little boxes.
Yeah, it was for me. When I saw this movie, I saw it in the movie theater. I actually worked at the movie theater. And I saw it by myself, and the effects in it were top grade, the makeup, everything. I mean, you had the jackal, the guy with his head in the box that would
Was that the crazy guy?
Yeah, he was the crazy one. But yeah, he was awesome, and I like the Hammer, the big guy.
Is that the dude that ended up, folded, what's his name, in half in the end?
Yeah.
Was that guy called the Juggernaut?
No, there was the Juggernaut was the zombie one.
I'm the Juggernaut!
He was just a really tall, big guy. He was the one that bent it, Matthew Lillard, into a pretzel.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan.
angle.
I wasn't a huge fan of like the ending. But I did really like the horror aspect of it. The
ghosts were pretty crazy.
Yeah. And there was a lot of there was a pilgrimess,
the woman that killed herself in the bathtub.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, that thing just walking around.
Yeah, it was terrifying. It had a lot of really cool horror elements. You had tension in certain times,
Didn't
and then
that
you
one
had
have
some
like the
really fast
the fatality with the guy in the glass. And it closed on him.
Yeah.
And then he slid down. You can see half the inside of him on the other side of the glass.
Yeah,
the whole house was made of glass.
Yeah. That is why I like that movie, just because it had so many horror elements in it. They should have called it 13 Horror Elements. I really like the cinematography in it. I like the effects. I liked everything about it. So that's why that one's my number 5. It's kind of one of the more popular ones. Well, I think all of mine are popular. We'll see. What is yours?
So I guess, as far as franchises go. But, this was kind of an obscure one.
Okay.
After the first one, nobody ever watched any of the ones after it. So
okay, yeah.
It's not like a Jason or Freddy.
What is it?
So, number 5 for me would be Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn.
By Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, that was actually a really good one. That's a really good choice.
They encapsulated a good vampire movie in that with good action and good comedy, and the vampires in that one are terrifying.
Yeah, they were.
They are there to kill you, murder you mercilessly.
Yeah, and they did. Yeah, it was really funny too.
It's one of the movies that got me to like George Clooney, actually too. Because his character is pretty good.
He was really fairly unknown. In that he was in ER. He was in, I think he was in a couple movies, but he was in Batman. I know he's
had a whole bunch of good characters in it too.
Was that before Batman and Robin?
Yeah, it was way before Batman.
Okay, so yeah.
I think it's early 90s.
It was a good one, and I think it's actually one that Quentin Tarantino actually acted really well in it. While he was in it,
played the crazy brother.
Yeah, and I think that was. It was a really good vampire movie.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
And it's probably because Robert Rodriguez directed it. In his prime, pretty much.
And we won't have all of the cases with us. mainly because Chris has all of his tucked away. I have all mine. But Chris has all of his tucked away, all his DVDs.
All my treasures.
We'll show it up here in a graphic of some kind.
For sure.
All right.
Number 4.
Number 4. The Faculty.
Oh, yeah.
Faculty was a movie about aliens attacking a high school. And it was kind of like
it was
like
Body
Aliens
Snatcher. With Body Snatcher, yeah.
Yeah, and it all came down to
a ragtag group of
teenagers. And that's what it kind of had, like a Breakfast Club element to it.
And like the thing too, because everybody's always suspicious of somebody else.
Yeah, there's a whole scene where they find out that Crank. Snorting Crank dries them out, and so these and so they're all getting mixture. It was just a caffeine pill mixture, but everybody thought it was like methamphetamine.
It was called, what are they called, scat. You want to do some scat?
And that's cool. They had the pens, and then they were all snorting it and stuff. It had a really good twist ending to it too. I really liked that. I didn't expect that, because she snorted the drugs. It's like
you thought she did anyway.
Yeah,
she did that little pinky
spoiler
maneuver
alert on that one. But anyway, The Faculty, amazing horror movie, mainly because the teachers started turning on the kids, and it was basically
they took
the
over
whole town was
pretty
starting
quick
to turn.
almost.
Yeah, and it had old Frodo in it. Frodo Baggins. Yeah, I had Elijah Wood, and Elijah Wood was the main character, nerdy kid who knew about, science and stuff, and but he saves the day in the end, and it's really cool. The drug dealer kid,
Zeke. Was it Josh Hartnett?
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really good acting in this one. Had Jon Stewart in it too.
Yeah, he got his eyeball cut out and his eye cut out.
Yeah. So great movie. I recommend it to anybody. This is why it's on my top 5. It stands out.
Okay, so my number 4 is a movie called 1408.
Oh, some Stephen King, huh?
I think this is short story. But man, this one is like a compilation of a whole bunch of people that have murdered themselves that are stuck in this hotel room, and all this room wants to do is have you absorbed in it with them.
He's like a skeptic.
Yeah, and that's what's great.
He sleeps in haunted places, and
he's like a writer. He writes paranormal books.
Samuel Jackson in it too.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson's the character that tries to keep him from going in there.
Yeah,
how many times does he say the F word in that movie?
That's
a couple times. Only a couple.
At least once, right?
Yeah, he's got to say the famous line in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm tired of these ghosts inside this hotel room.
Yeah, he definitely probably said something about the hotel room with it as well.
Yeah. But they were also in that movie Cellular together, weren't they?
I don't know if
that was John Cusack and him. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. It was was it called Cell or Cellular?
Cellular?
Probably Cellular.
Because remember the towers and stuff, and it was him. They were traveling together.
Man, dude, it's been so long since I've seen that.
Yeah. Well,
I'd have to have a refresher course.
I agree. It's a good movie. I wouldn't put it in my top 5, but
Cellular's Jason Statham and Kim Basinger. 2004.
No, wrong one. It's the look up Cell.
2016 Cell.
Yeah.
Graphic novelist John Cusack.
Yep. Samuel Jackson in it.
We got some Jackson action in there.
Yeah.
I put it in my top.
Yep.
I put it in my top 5 for a good Halloween movie. I mean, it's not one of the best.
It is definitely a good paranormal movie. I'll give you that. It's definitely Stephen King. I mean, I'm gonna have some Stephen King. He's. I mean, for me, I used to read his books and stuff when I was younger in high school and stuff. I love Stephen King.
Him and Dean Koontz.
Dean Koontz, yeah.
Dean Koonster.
Yeah. There's a lot of Peter Straub.
But yeah, so anyway, I really like the ending of the movie too, because in the end he had recordings of all of it because he was recording it for his, because he's doing the paranormal thing still.
Yeah.
But he left his recorder on it, and it actually recorded the whole thing that happened, which I thought that was a cool twist in the end.
Yeah, that was a cool little twist in the end. Yeah. What's weird is I didn't include any M. Night Shyamalan in mine.
I wouldn't put that in the top 5 either.
What, really?
What, are you going to put The Happening in there?
No, I wouldn't be The Happening. It would probably be like Signs. Signs is more of a science fiction, though. But it is a horror movie.
Whenever I first saw Signs, I was like, this movie's great when I was a kid.
Watching again.
Watch it now, I'm like, oh man, these aliens are weak against wood and water. Why do they even choose this planet? You know? In the end.
True.
Water melts them. You don't need to use an AK-47 on them. You just have to have a super soaker. And you kill all these aliens.
It's like a...
Sixth Sense, wasn't that M. Night?
That's a good one.
That was a good one. You watch it once, can't watch it again. That's the thing about his movies. That once you see the
twist.
The twist at the end, then...
What's a twist?
Yeah, with the threes. All right, so that was number 4 for both of us. Okie dokie. So let's go to number 3 for me is Stephen King. It's Salem's Lot. I don't have the original version, so I got the crappy Rob Lowe version up here, but which is not as
That's
good.
not even Rob Lowe, is it?
Yeah, it's Rob Lowe with Donald Sutherland.
Okay, yeah, it is. You're right.
It was okay.
What's wrong with Rob Lowe?
No, I'm just talking about the movie.
Anything after The Stand?
Yeah. Yeah, Stand was actually, I remember the older one. The older one was actually pretty good when they showed it on the different...
Well, whenever they actually made Stephen King mini-series.
Yeah, those mini-series were good. This, I didn't really care for this one, but the original one, hey, open the window. Let me in. The kid just floating at the window. He's like, I'm not sure about this. He's like, come on. That was terrifying for me as a child. I had nightmares about Salem's Lot. The
trying to get
vampires in that. So that's my main vampire movie. That one, and then I also there was another vampire movie I really liked.
Fright Night? Yeah, that's one I didn't even think of until just now.
Yeah, that is a good one. That was the one...
stabs it in the hand with the pencil. And he's
like, nobody believed the kid.
Yeah.
That's what was cool.
And then he went to his front door and his mom let him right in. He's just like, no!
Yeah. But
Death
Salem's
by
Lot...
stereo. Yeah.
Salem's Lot was the original... It didn't joke around. It wasn't didn't have any funny parts. Salem's Lot was a genuinely terrifying vampire movie. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. The original one, not this one. This one's Rob Lowe.
You can check it out if you want to.
Yeah, this one's pretty good. I mean, it's okay.
Totally go with the older one.
My movie choice over here.
Well, it's what I had, but
it's what they had at the pawn shop. Okay.
Yeah, Rob Lowe, he's a little much in that.
So my number 3 is a movie called Pulse. We don't have the DVD cover for it.
Like I said, we'll show graphic.
But yeah, probably.
Are you talking about the old Japanese version?
Both. Well, either one of them. Yeah, that's the concept of Pulse, which is ghosts through bandwidth, which would be horrible.
Yeah.
And the ghosts, they basically get you to commit suicide because they drain your life force.
Oh no, they just suck them in. To the dark side, and they would take their souls and get stronger.
I guess it would just take all of them, wouldn't it? It would just...
Remember, they would go into the black thing, and they'd be like,
oh yeah, the dude got pulled into the wall. And like, no, help me, I can't even help myself because I'm so depressed, but help me. Maybe not, I kind of want to die now, but...
yeah, because it would wear them down, their soul, because it would scare them so much, and then they would put up the red tape, remember?
It's another movie where they didn't succeed in the end.
Yeah, well...
And that's probably what makes it a little bit more scary in my mind. Because those types of movies...
Whoa, it's a ghost.
Sega! Get out of here, dude!
Ghosty!
Okay.
It's a ghost.
At your feet.
It's a dog ghost.
It's a ghost with tap shoes. But yeah, it was one of those ones, and those are the movies that always terrify me a little bit more. Yeah. Is that there's no answer on how to defeat it.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, they won.
It's like, we just got to go live in black spots. This is the way it
goes now.
I guess everybody's moving to Montana.
That reminds me of that other movie, As Above, So Below. They just got out. That was the end of the movie. That stuff is still down there.
Yeah.
Like, That's what I'm saying. As Above, So Below, it's basically takes place in Paris, and they're in some tunnels, and they lead to hell. And then they find their way back out. Have you seen it?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, man. The thing about that movie is it's just like, we're talking about totally different movies now. But the thing about that movie was that what was scary was the fact that they were in very confined places.
Well, yeah, they're in cave system, right?
Yeah, kind of, and it would like seal, and they would be just that stuff, man. I just can't watch it for very long. It's like, oh god, just get out of there. It's like The Descent. The Descent was hard to watch too.
Oh yeah, just like.
But so, dude, those people. That's why it's not one of my favorites. That's why I wouldn't put it on there.
That's why I don't jump into cave holes.
The big quote from Pulse was, "They want what they don't have, life."
Yeah.
And they got it.
They got all kinds of life.
I got you because you use bandwidth. And you have to use the internet, so you're dead. Like, dude, the society would be destroyed this day and age if that happened.
Yeah.
In like 10 seconds.
Gone.
Everybody would be like, man, I just don't feel good for some reason. And the next day they'd be like, I kind of don't want to live no more.
I'm just going to check my Facebook. It should be okay.
Everybody's happy on there, right? Man, make me happy.
But yeah, it was spooky. It had some very spooky moments. Pulse, I'll give you that one. That was a good horror movie.
The foreign one was a lot more scarier.
Yeah,
of course, because they like try harder.
Well, it wasn't as commercial, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good though.
So that was 3. Okay, we're on our number 2.
Number 2.
Why don't you go ahead and do yours first?
My number 2 is going to be, well, I'm going to say, so my number 2, The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
It's more science fiction, but it is horror. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about a movie that'll scare you and freak you out.
Yeah.
That movie, the creatures that it turned into, oh my goodness.
Yeah, those burn into your memory.
Yeah. I mean, when the dude tried to do the electric thing and his hands went into his stomach and just chewed his hands off, that stuff is nightmares.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I didn't think about that when I was making the list, but it's a cosmic horror because it's from space.
It's sci-fi too, you know. It's a sci-fi movie as well.
Well, it is.
Well, so is The Faculty, though. Yeah. So I mean, it works.
So it works as a good Halloween movie.
Yes, a very
you
good.
You can present The Thing on the Halloween for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's like Aliens.
Yeah, exactly. You can watch Alien and Aliens on Halloween as well.
Yeah, it's a monster movie. Monster movies, paranormal movies, supernatural, all that stuff's in the same thing. So The Thing.
It's a thing, he said.
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
And he's just trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know if he's trying to fly home or if he's just trying to get to a more populated area and just completely wreck the whole planet.
Oh, man.
We never knew.
Oh, it was bad. It had a really cool, the whole movie was very, very terrifying.
Yeah,
especially if you're a human being.
Yeah, and like you don't know who to trust because it could completely mimic you.
Yeah.
All the way to like your memories and everything.
Yeah, it was pretty messed up. And then they did the test.
The blood test.
It has a very similar story to the Faculty.
Well, The Faculty had a very similar story to The Thing.
Yeah, that's true. I guess.
But dude, you can't beat Kurt Russell, dude. He's my favorite actor back in the day. McCready. Straight up pouring the whiskey into the chess game. He's like cheating. Bleep.
Yeah, he's like Jack Burton. He's Jack Burton.
See, I would put that movie on every one of my lists, but I can't because I have to let some other ones get in there.
All right, well, let me get my next horror movie up.
So you're number 2?
My number 2 is It.
That's what it is. It's It.
And it's
not the new version.
It's not the new one.
The Tim Curry version.
The one with Tim Curry was the stuff of nightmares. That man was...
You remember whenever they were in the library and he had the little spinning thing?
Beep, beep, Richie.
He was like... It was all crazy. I was like, dude, this guy's nailing it.
What was his joke? It was like, is your refrigerator running? Well, you better go catch it. I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. And he would murder children.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And they came back. That's the whole cool thing about it. They came back to... God, man, that made me think of another movie that I really like. But I'll talk about that later. But yeah, what's really awesome about the first It was absolutely, there wasn't cinematography. It was just like every other horror movie in the 80s. But it had this psychological element to it, which was... absolutely terrifying, especially when you're dealing with children.
And I don't think that anybody else would have done a better job than Tim Curry back in the day.
No, not as
because he took it. You could tell you could see he was like having fun with it. You know what I'm saying? A little bit too much fun.
Interesting about the behind the scenes of that movie is Tim Curry did not go out of character the whole time he was on set. So if he was going to like the craft service table to get food and the kids were there, he would scare them.
Well, that's terrifying. That is very terrifying. The new It is it's good too. It's good, but it does not hold it's not anywhere as scary as that was. The effects, everything.
Something about those older movies too was just a little bit more creepier.
Yeah, they had less of a budget. They didn't use CGI.
It's just everything CG.
They did use some claymation in there, some clay animation.
The final form.
Yeah. But man, that was terrifying. The whole movie, the fact that they were all dying, like. He's like, it's battery acid, you fiend.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not going to work again, dude.
I just didn't understand why adult him would think that would work.
Because he didn't it was the whole thing is when he was a kid, he believed in it so much, and so it worked. I guess.
Dude, he looked like he was believing it pretty good where he's trying to
And when he was older, he was more afraid. He was more afraid than when he was a kid. When he was a kid, he didn't know about the whole aspect of life, and so when he was older, he had all these other fears that he could prey on. But he didn't like eating eating adults. No, but he had a vengeance. He had the whole thing.
He liked eating adults as long as they were scared.
Yeah, well,
he didn't care what they were. It's
adults
just children
didn't get as scared.
Yeah, children are much easier. That's why That's why he's like, they're voluptuous.
It was terrifying. It is a terrifying.
Sweet.
Just watch the newer one was good, but watch the original one. It will blow your mind. If you haven't seen it and you've seen the new one, watch the original with Tim Curry.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's worth your time.
You'll see him in your dreams.
It's a 4-hour-long movie, but it's worth the time.
It is. Because
it was made as a mini-series first. So, just like all the other Stephen King stuff.
Yeah. It had John Ritter before he passed away. Yeah. What was a ghost?
Go first.
Well, actually, let's do some... honorable mentions. All the Friday the 13th, Halloween. Alien 1 through Alien 3, more sci-fi, but still very, very scary movies.
Any movies with like a monster in it?
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say.
Like American Werewolf in London would be a good Halloween.
That's a good Halloween movie.
Candyman, of course.
Candyman was scary.
2 more times and you're gonna summon him. Better watch out.
Oh well.
You gotta be looking at yourself though. Look at yourself.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Candyman. I wasn't honestly a huge fan of Candyman, but it was definitely a scary premise.
It's like the Leprechaun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one of those types.
The Leprechaun.
It's the Leprechaun.
They're good horror movies. Critters. Man, there's so many Gremlins. Those are more comedy though. So, and the one that I wanted to make my number one, I don't have the movie, but it's The Host. It's a Korean horror.
Monster flick.
That is an amazing, amazing movie. The Host. If you have not seen The Host, see that. I just thought of it while I was sitting here, so I would put that as my number one.
Good monster movie.
Because it's not only a good monster movie, it's a good family movie. It's something good to watch with your family, because it's about a family going up against a monster that stole the guy's daughter. And their whole family, this whole Korean family, gets together, and they're not rich. And what's crazy is it brings all of their family together. Their daughter's an Olympic archer, and like the brother is a tech. He works in the tech field, and he's like a entrepreneur. And the dad just works as
They have a food stand.
Yeah, as a food stand. And that's where it's on the beach, and that's where the monster comes from and takes this guy's daughter. And he's just a beach bum. He's just a bum that sometimes works for his dad. And
he runs the little hut whenever he's away.
Yeah, but he just usually sleeps all day. He's the
type of guy that'll bring you an octopus and only have like 6 legs instead of 8.
So yeah,
and he'd be like, I don't know what happened to those 2 legs.
Okay, why don't you do your number one, Chris? What is your number one?
My number one is the thing that terrified me the most as a child.
I already know what it is.
I know you know what it is.
I know
it's no secret to you.
It's not a normal thing that people get afraid of, but...
Well, I mean, because so there's 2 different versions of this movie, and they're completely different. Okay, so is it 50s, late 50s probably? Early 60s?
Yeah.
So the movie's called The Blob. Okay? And everybody's well, I saw the 60s version, it looked like some jelly. And it was just pouring out of a jar. I'm like, yeah, that's the 60s version. The version I'm talking about is the remake in the 80s. That guy took that movie and was just like, I want to make this the most terrifying thing Chris will ever watch in his life. He was thinking about me whenever he made it.
Yeah, it is terrifying. I mean, it is a gelatinous mass
that'll absorb
eating everything.
Yeah. He's absorbing everything and getting bigger.
It absorbs organic material.
Yeah.
Just absorbs it and gets bigger and bigger and just keeps absorbing, pulls them in.
It shoots off little tendrils, and they're melting you as they're getting you already because it decomposes you immediately.
It was pretty terrifying.
Yeah,
and then they wouldn't let it. They had to contain it. Yeah, so they wouldn't let people out.
Nothing kills it. You can shoot it. You can hit it with flames. It just makes it mad. The only thing you can do is freeze it because it's a liquid. So they froze it and they were like, well, we hope the Antarctic stays cold. And I'm like, that's the end of the movie? So you're telling me that thing's just chilling in a crate in Antarctica right now? Just waiting for the ice caps to melt?
Yeah. It's like, man, that would suck.
And then it ends with the old crazy priest guy with like a piece of it in the jar. And he's like, like he's going to start the rapture with it. It's like, this is terrifying.
Yeah. That's
like any type of movie that just shows you how everybody loses in the end. Yeah, it's just a little bit more of a degree of
it does.
Of fear and like terror. And I mean, dude, the way he or the wait. No, it's he. It's probably wait. It's a blob.
Yeah, get your pronouns right for the blob. All right,
dude. I mean, there's a scene where a guy. So somebody had to think of this up. So there's a scene where a guy, he's working in a diner, right? Yeah. And he's washing the dishes, and the drain gets clogged, and he's like, "Why is this drain clogged?" And he takes a plunger, right? And he starts plunging it. It's like, and he like keeps on looking at it. He does it like 2 or 3 times, right? Then the blob shoots out of the drain, grabs his face, and sucks him, crushes his whole body into the little hole, into the pipes. And then directly after that, the waitress sees it and runs out to the phone booth whenever they still have phone booths. Yeah. And she tries to call somebody. And what the blob does is it gets so big, it just engulfs the whole telephone booth, right?
And she's inside
and trying to call somebody. But it's putting so much pressure, it's like crushing the phone booth. And it just explodes. And it just murders her so horribly. Yeah. And she's like looking outside this phone booth. And it's showing you all of the decomposing bodies inside of it. And I'm like, dude, this is nightmare fuel.
It is pretty terrifying.
And you know what? So, my father also knew that I was afraid of the blob. So, I used to sleep in a bunk bed next to a window, like a windowsill. So, in my head, every time I went to sleep, I was like, oh my God, dude, the blob could totally, like, maneuver through this window so easily and murder me. And one night, Dad was just like, all right, guys, go to sleep. Chris, the blob can go through windows. I was just like, why would you do that to me? No!
Well, I mean, you're just waiting until you have a dream. I remember you told me you used to be terrified of the Crypt Keeper. Dreams. No, you used to be terrified of the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, until I had the right dream.
Yeah, until you had the dream where you were like, I kicked the Crypt Keeper's head off into a field goal.
Oh, no, it's like I kicked it so hard it just like went off like it was going into a field goal. It just went off into space, and I never had a bad dream about the Crypt Keeper again after that. The blob, however,
you ain't kicking blob head off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was not good dreams. It's like, and it's almost every time I have a blob dream, it's one of those ones I wake up from and be like, oh my God, I had a blob dream. I go back to sleep and go right back into it. It's like the only dreams that I will ever go right back into.
Yeah, but gosh, man, I didn't know. Well, I see why it's your favorite.
It's not my favorite. It's the one that terrifies me the most. Well, I actually disdain the movie a
lot. Maybe this one shouldn't be on the list.
Action.
So, yeah, we just got done talking about my number one, which is the blob. It's the blob, all right. Go ahead and check it out.
My number one. Favorite horror movie
of
all time.
This is
Evil Dead 2.
So, what we were talking about earlier, we were talking about Army of Darkness. Mm-hmm. Army of Darkness is the more funnier version. This is the more like serious / it's comical because of how he freaks out.
That's why it's different.
Yeah.
Because going into this one,
it's serious, yeah.
The first movie was serious.
Yeah, it was completely serious.
And it involved the same people. Same characters. Well, same character, Ash, and yeah.
You can call this one a revamp of the original.
Yeah. So, when I first saw this movie, the beginning half of this movie is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
exactly.
And then this movie changes and makes how terrifying it is funny. Yeah. It's like, this is super freaking terrifying.
Yeah, and
this is so terrifying that the character in the movie is just
flipping out,
losing his mind and laughing. And how terrifying this gets.
And I don't think anybody but Bruce Campbell could have pulled that off.
Yeah, it was really good. He fights himself.
He's talking to himself. He's like, "You just killed your girl." And he's cut her up. And he's just like being destroyed by it, man.
Yeah.
He's just freaking out.
There's one scene that it's towards the middle of it. He chops his hand off. He puts he's staying in the house.
Yeah,
and he's got the shotgun. And he's just like...
the boomstick.
Well, he's just sitting there hanging out. And all of a sudden, the freaking wall-mounted deer head starts laughing at him. And then he starts laughing. And then all the inanimate objects in the room start laughing.
Then they all start moving because he's like rocking in the chair.
No, he starts looking at this... There's a scene. I'm gonna probably bring it up, but there is a scene where he is dancing with the lamp.
He's like losing his mind,
and you can tell that was not like planned. Like they made the lamp move around, but then he was just moving like the lamp was moving.
He just pointed at us like, he's like losing his mind.
And then all of a sudden something hits the door and everything stops, and he's all serious. But yeah, that movie. It
is the perfect Halloween. Actually, it's the number one Halloween movie I can think of.
Because of how absolutely terrified a human being could get to where he was just laughing at it. Like, dude, this is the most scariest crap I've ever seen in my life.
This is unbelievable. It's like so unbelievable I have to laugh. How disbelieved I am.
Yeah, I love Ash. I love Bruce Campbell in these movies. It's so, the character is so different that they made him like this cult hero.
Well, that's when Army of Darkness comes in.
And that's where the Army of Darkness comes in after it. It's more about, it's more of an action movie, and he's the hero rather than a horror. It's not as scary as Evil Dead 2 was, because he was just in a cabin and all these things were happening. That one, they were, there was all these horses.
Well, it's because they opened up the Book of the Dead, and that's why everything was happening in that little cabin. This one was like the prophecy in the Necronomicon. That they opened up.
And it was hilarious.
And he ended up being the chosen one in the end of the second one.
And if he would have just memorized those words and
said them right. The third one,
and Army of Darkness, if he would have done that, he would have went straight home and everything would have been okay.
Spiratos, Nectos. Alright, I'm taking the book.
Excellent
The Wizard 2's like,
it's a funny movie.
Say these three
words.
When
we're talking about horror movies, in my opinion, Evil Dead 2 is my favorite. Because it's not as campy as the first one was. It had more of a budget.
The Deadites are horrible. They're horrible things to fight. Really bad.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the new one, the Evil Dead Rise. Yeah, that's good. So overall, those are our top 5 horror movies. Tell us in the comments what your top 3 horror movies are. And watch these videos, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Shop smart. Shop S-smart.
That's right.